We are joined by Jeevan Thondaman, the youngest cabinet minister in Sri Lanka. Sir, thanks for speaking to NDTV and for your valuable time. Sir, today you part of the Sri Lankan delegation along with President Ranil Wickremesinghe met Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And what are the important issues that were discussed in this bilateral meeting between Sri Lanka and India?
Well, first of all, today's meeting is something of a historic one, simply because I personally feel that this is going to renew relationship between India and Sri Lanka. And moreover, I think this is going to be the decade of growth for Sri Lanka as well. Because as you're aware, we had to go through economic crisis, we went through the pandemic, we went through so many issues. And it eventually led us to basically course correcting our fiscal policies and a lot of reforms in that sense. And His Excellency the President Ranil Wickremesinghe has carried it out diligently. So with that being in mind, Prime Minister Modi had invited the President, His Excellency Ranil Wickremesinghe, to Delhi some time ago. And well, due to the reforms that we were taking, he was able to make the visit now. So along with the President, it was myself, I'm the Minister for Water Resources. Likewise, I was also the Foreign Minister Ali Sabri and the Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Vijaysekara, accompanied by the Fisheries Minister Douglas Devananda. So we basically brought up issues that were pertaining to all our subjects. Mainly, I believe that the Fisheries Minister had brought up the issue of the fishermen, and likewise the Power and Energy Minister had not only come here to implement the MOU signings in the energy sector, but he had also been able to provide confidence to the Indian government on Sri Lanka's firm commitment towards green and renewable energy. And apart from that, the bilateral relations between both countries are yet to enhance more than this, because this year happens to be the 200th anniversary of the Tamils who had gone as indentured labor from India to Sri Lanka. Yeah. So given that, I think being part of that very community, it made us feel very happy that Prime Minister Modi was able to recognize it, and not just recognize it, he had also assured us, I think, about 750 million rupees Indian. Yeah, over there we see millions, just to clarify, but 750 million rupees Indian to basically provide infrastructure and development facilities to these upcountry community. And once again, we're thankful and grateful for him for that, because apart from this, already 14,000 houses have been executed. The hospital under the name of Glenkin in Dikoya has been executed. And now I think 60 classrooms, smart classrooms also in process. And similarly, we're looking to enhance the education sector there. Apart from this, on a bilateral level, we had signed about 4 MOUs. Okay. And I think the highlight of these 4 MOUs is they're very progressive. One is to enhance the dairy and animal husbandry sector and the connectivity between Sri Lanka and India on that. As you know, India is one of the pioneers when it comes to the dairy sector. And we would like to see how we can collaborate with them and take our dairy sustainability higher. Apart from that, we had also signed an MOU on basically establishing Trincomalee as an energy hub, aligning ourselves with the President's vision on converting Trinco also as an economic hub. So we believe that that would, amplify progress in that part of the area, which is war-torn. And other than that, the third MOU that we had signed is an MOU on renewable energy. And as you know, Sri Lanka's crisis mitigated mainly by energy crisis. We are trying to make sure that it's going to be sustainable by investing more on renewable energy. Had we invested in renewable energy, say, decades ago, we wouldn't be in this crisis. Now, my ministry, for example, only 2% of my water plants are solar powered. Okay. So we need to take things forward in a more sustainable manner, and we believe there will definitely be Indian support for that, given their exploration into green energy.
Also, coming to this contentious issue,
the last MOU that we had signed is that to enable UPI payments there in Sri Lanka. Fintech. So let's say fintech, basically. So tomorrow, if someone were to come to Sri Lanka from India, they'd be able to make payments how they would be able to make it in India itself.
So coming to this contentious issue, which Prime Minister also stressed upon, that the 13th amendment, and you being part of the Tamil community, is there any time frame that President Ranil Wickremesinghe has thought about implementing this 13th amendment so that could give some rights to Tamil community?
Just to clarify, me being a Tamil has nothing to do with the 13th amendment. I need to clarify that.
Yeah, but as a representative of the Tamil community, being part of the government.
Because the thing is, the 13th amendment in its essence is not racial based. It's not based on Tamil, Sinhala, Muslim. At the end of the day, 13th amendment was an instrument of instrument of democracy provided to us to end the ethnic conflict. Now, implementing the 13th Amendment, the simple question is, would it prevent ethnic conflict? It definitely would. Which is why we all are trying to implement the 13th Amendment, which is an existing law in the country.
Yeah.
It's not a new law we are bringing,
Yeah.
it's an existing law. So when that is the case, the issue of the 13th Amendment is, one, my personal view on this matter, not on behalf of the government, but my personal view as a party leader, is that the 13th Amendment, people lack awareness on it. People don't understand that what it can give, what the impact it may have on that community. And that is also because of the narrative that we have taken. We have attributed the 13th Amendment only to the Tamils, especially only to the Tamils of North and East. Right? So people need to understand that the 13th Amendment will enable autonomy for all provinces. It will give all provinces independence. And the President, in his right, he has given his proposal on the 13th Amendment to the parties in the North and East. And this was brought up with the President as well, and he's soon going to have a party leaders meeting where he's going to submit this proposal. And we are for the full implementation of the 13th Amendment. And the President did raise certain concerns. But what we personally feel about this, being a Tamil or being a minority, as you may say, what we personally feel about this is the President's proposal is one that you can start with. Because as of now, the President's proposal is more or less the full implementation of the 13th Amendment plus finding a mechanism for police powers. So I think this should be looked at in a more holistic manner and it should be taken forward. Because right now it's easy for politicians to say, we reject this and go back home. But the people are the one who are suffering. So I think that needs to be taken into account more than anything. And one last thing about the 13th Amendment. As far as I'm concerned, the 13th Amendment has been portrayed in a negative light to all other communities, especially to the majority community, the Sinhalese community. The 13th Amendment is viewed as something, if implemented, it's a victory for Tamils. So that is not the case, though.
Do you think that that would bring harmony between the two communities, the conflicting communities or the Sinhalese?
See, discrimination exists all over. We cannot stop discrimination. It exists in India, it exists all over the world. So no matter how developed you are, you have African Americans still fighting for their rights in America. So this is a question about discrimination versus the implementation of an existing law. What we should do is we should implement the existing law.
Also on this, another issue between Tamil community, especially from Tamil Nadu, between Tamil Nadu and Sri Lanka on this Indian fisherman issue. So was this something that your party will also be trying to find a solution? Because every time we are seeing Indian fishermen being arrested by Sri Lankan Navy, that is also leading to some kind of a conflict of bad blood between both the regions.
See, what we are trying to do is we are trying to make sure there is a smooth working model between fishermen of both countries. It's not just that, one particular community we're worried about. At the end of the day, when there are two communities which their livelihood is based on a common ground, there has to be a mechanism implemented. And I think this issue was brought up by the Fisheries Minister as well. And what I need to understand is that there will be an intergovernment committee that will take this forward and come with a solution at a particular deadline. So we think what we are suggesting as, and also the late leader of my party, the late Mr. Jeevan Thondaman, he had in fact, on numerous occasions, he was able to take fishermen out and get them released and facilitate their safe return to India. So we have always been that bridge between India and Sri Lanka where we have tried to facilitate these things. But we can't keep doing it again and again is what I'm saying. We need to have a permanent solution.
Humane approach.
Yes, there has to be a humane approach. But also at this point, I'd also like to say one more thing. And, this is something that your viewers must understand as well. See, when we say Sri Lanka and Tamils, people think only about the north and east. People don't think about the upcountry Tamils, who are the reason why there's free education and free healthcare in Sri Lanka right now. They were taken to Sri Lanka as slaves 200 years ago, and this is their 200th anniversary. So what we are suggesting is a very simple thing. At the end of the day, yes, infrastructure, all that comes about. But for us, recognition is extremely important. Yes, we're giving importance to the fishermen issue. But are we giving importance to the labor exploitation issues that are taking place in Sri Lanka as we speak? Fishermen issues, government to government. Labor exploitation is a private sector harping on someone weaker than them.
On which your party actually...
Correct. Because I think this time we are exposing the companies for what they're doing. And honestly, it is unethical tea that is being traded. And, this is something that needs to be brought to light. So there is a community called upcountry Tamils, and they've been subjected to various abuse. I mean, if I may say so, 1948, the entire country got independence. But we lost our independence. Our civic rights were taken away from us. And over the course of 30 years, we couldn't get it back. We didn't have access to healthcare, education, any of the government benefits. And following that, only in 2003, we were able to get complete citizenship. So for a community that has endured so much, they were subjected to something else called the Shrima Shastri Pact, which was in 1964. And that Shrima Shastri Pact basically took a portion of the community back to India. Now in a family of 5, you say 3 people stay here, 2 people come there. It's not fair. So overall this took place, and that was purely political, because at that point of time, this upcountry Tamils were the second largest ethnicity in the country. Today they've been reduced to the 4th. So clearly there was a political motive behind it. So that is why we stress on the fact that India and Sri Lanka both owe a duty of care to these people. So that is what we are fighting for mainly. Because I think the most important issue, if I may, just the last issue on this, is that for 200 years these people have been living on the same place, the same land. And Indian government was kind enough to give us 14,000 houses. Sri Lankan government has built about 30,000 houses in the past 30 years.
Has that been disbursed to the people?
No, 4,000 houses we just completed. 10,000 we're starting now, and we should be completing it. We have a timeline. So that has been disbursed to the beneficiaries. There's no doubts on that. But overall, what we are saying is giving free houses is not the solution. We need to find how can we improve their livelihood. And also, you should start by giving them land rights, ownership over land in which they're living in. So in Sri Lanka, 10 years, if you live in a land, you are able to get the permit. But these people have been there for 200 years, they don't, because they're considered assets of the company. So these are the other issues that we mainly spoke about.
So that's Jeevan Thondaman, a young cabinet minister in Ranil Wickremesinghe government, making it clear that the agenda of this bilateral meeting between Sri Lankan delegation and Indian government, and he also is also very hopeful that this particular meeting will strengthen the ties between both the nations. With camera person Musli, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.